There's a system of laws that exist in the Islamic world. And by the way, with Benil Dariush, a name like that and a face like that, tell me that you didn't expect that voice. So my point here is this. The people who have fake backbones, right? I'm standing up for Native Americans. You're not Native American. I'm standing up for people of color. You're not a person of color, Vin Diesel. Let's compare that to someone with actual brass pendulous balls. You may not know this guy. Just go with me here for a second. There's a fighter in the UFC named Benil Dariush. Now, I know you'll see him and you'll think, hijacker? But the irony here is he's actually Iranian-American. He's a Christian, which, again, that in and of itself, they had to flee Iran. That's someone who has a family. They had something to risk. They had something to lose. So he's a Christian Iranian-American. Okay. And I watched the fights this weekend, which were fantastic. And we often have some friends who are fighting. If you've watched the show, we've had them on the show. He gave a speech, and there's always, a component of obviously a risk if you go out and you make a very, I should say, on-the-nose Christian acceptance speech. It's not very accepted in the entertainment industry. They're significantly more forgiving in the UFC. But then it dawned on me that he gave this speech in Abu Dhabi. For context, watch this.
For the winner by unanimous decision, Benil Dariush.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Benil Dariush. Benil, once again, man, you always step up to fight. It does not matter who. How good does it feel to get a victory over a young, up-and-coming fighter like Mateusz Gamrot?
I'm sorry, Dana, but I got to take a minute. I need to dedicate this fight. My people in Iran, I know you're struggling. I know you're fighting for freedom. I know it's a tough struggle. I want you guys to know we're praying for you, and we love you. Let me tell you one more thing. This might be the most important thing you'll ever hear. There is true freedom, a freedom that no one can take from you in the name of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Don't ever forget that. If you remember one thing I say, remember that.
Honestly, that's pretty articulate considering his brain was just scrambled and bounced off the mat like a basketball.
But it's pronounced Iran.
Yes.
Iran.
Ariana Grande is Italian-American.
Italian.
So keep in mind, Iran is 99% Muslim.
Good for him, though.
UAE is 76% Muslim. That's the crowd there. And I don't know if you know this, because I know we've talked about how awful, the Christian history is, the Western Christian history. Muslims, and they have this thing called Sharia law, and in a lot of these countries, if you convert, or if you're trying to convert from Islam, they murder you.
Get out of town.
Yeah,
and if you try to convert anybody else, and I'm not sure that
they double murder
that
you.
Abu Dhabi's like throw you off a building if you're gay Muslim, but it's very close. Iran for sure is.
Yeah. Well, they still have indentured servants in Abu Dhabi. People don't realize that. That's slavery. Yes. And in
the modern
Qatar,
slavery that you're talking about.
Excuse me. It's low-paid slavery.
Yes, it's low-paid slavery. It's the people who work the donut counter that Ariana licks.
Yes.
Well, they pay extra.
No, a lot of people don't realize this about UAE. A lot of people don't realize that the laws that still apply often to women in UAE. I had a friend who competed at Abu Dhabi in it's this prestigious grappling tournament, and she had to walk around the building. I don't know if this is still the case today. This would have been maybe 6, 7 years ago. She had to walk behind all of the men because you weren't allowed to walk in front of them at that point. It's not exactly what you think. You go and you go, oh, look, they have a fake scheme out. No, isn't that? No, hold on a second. There really is an underbelly there that is still not only unfair to women, but is incredibly fascist in a lot of ways. And this exists in every single majority Islamic country, and it has since the beginning of Islam, just to be clear. It's not the same thing because there is a system of laws, by the way, that require punishment. For those of you who don't know, this is when Ben Carson got in a lot of trouble. He said, I believe that Sharia law is incompatible, or the Quran is incompatible with the Constitution. Because unlike the Bible, there's a system of laws that are prescribed, which is not just, hey, convert or you'll go to hell in the afterlife. It's if you try and convert anyone else, you die. If you don't convert to Islam, if you were someone who happens to have already been a Christian, for example, in the native land, you are subject to dhimmi, which means you have a curfew, which means you have to pay a poll tax. It's a second-class citizenship. There is a system of laws that exist in the Islamic world. And by the way, with Benil Dariush, a name like that and a face like that, tell me that you didn't expect that voice.
Did not at all. And by the way, if that's the only thing that he had ever said about the subject, he's never going back to Iran. That's enough for Iran to put out a fatwa against him. Basically, the thing that Pakistan did against you. I think it's still active, by the way. We'll have to see if we
Thanks for bringing that up and drawing attention to it.
To renew it or not. 10-year renewals on those things. No, but I mean, it literally is death.
You're a regular travel agent, Gerald.
It's death for him and death potentially for his family. At the very least, they would be social outcasts in the community. So, I mean, it was a huge... People were like, oh, whatever, he said. No. That's life-changing.
Yes.
Life-changing for him and his family, potentially.
And not to mention, as far as popularity, right, there is some influence in the UFC. When you look at Abu Dhabi, right, they have this deal with Fight Island. And this guy is on, I believe, a 7-fight winning streak. It's either 7 or 8. He was a hot and cold fighter, and right now, he just broke into the top 5. He's unbelievable if you haven't watched him. And it is criminal that he's not getting a title shot. I don't mean actually criminal, I mean figuratively. So comment below if you were familiar with it, and if you, show Benil Dariush some support. I'm sure we can find his social media handles. By the way, just kind of as a briefing here, in Iran right now, they're currently engaged in these massive protests against this, dictatorship of the Ayatollah. And I believe the Ayatollah is still on Twitter, Facebook. Can we get you guys to confirm that? They removed Donald Trump while he was president. Protest started, by the way, after a 22-year-old, her name was Mahsa Amini, died while she was in the custody of Iran's morality police. That's an actual thing. And she was reportedly arrested for breaking hijab rules. They claim something else. It hasn't been entirely consistent, but it shouldn't matter. No one should be arrested by the morality police ever. We usually use it as a figurative thing here, like, well, who are you, the morality police? Yes.
Exactly.
What morals do you have to enforce? Oh, they're not very moral.
No.
Only their morality. We can do whatever we want and get away with it, but if a woman goes without a head covering, that's a line in the sand, buddy.
Well, here's something else. We have a clip coming up here, really. Oh, still on Twitter. Lovely.
Just not wanting to see a woman's body is weird to me. Yes. Sorry, I'm going to say it.
Well, it's immodest, they say.
I can't be trusted. I see a little bit of ankle. It's off to the races.
No.
What happens if I see the nape of her neck? Oh, boy, I'm going to be playing the black keys. I can reach.
Now get my 9-year-old driver boy so I can rape him.
Yes.
Exactly.
No homosexuality.
No.
It's just a power move.
Right. Yes.
It's a power move.
I give, never take.
It's not
if
gay.
you find that offensive, look into it.
Yes, look into it. Remember when Ahmadinejad, and the guy who looked like Jake Gyllenhaal with a terrorist beard, he claimed that they didn't have any homosexuals in Iran?
Yeah.
None.
Well, yeah, because you all do it in secret or you kill them.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a self-solving problem. Yes. So all the people of Iran, when people today say, hey, if I would have gone back in time and I look at what happened with slavery, I would have done something. There's more slavery right now on Earth than ever throughout human history. 40-something million slaves. We've talked about that. But when people say, oh, you know what? I would have done something to protect the marginal. Right now, you want to act like that person on Channel 4 playing the piano with her penis is marginalized. But there are people right now dying today. And I don't mean freedom of speech just here, like in what you mean, the freedom to say offensive things. I mean freedom of speech simply to wear clothes, simply to speak as a non-Muslim. That's the baseline we're talking about. Protesters in Iran have been burning hijabs, have been cutting their hair. And by the way, these people, again, the measure of a man or a woman is what do they do when they stand to lose something. And these people stand to pay with their lives.
Good for them.
Yeah, they're standing up all over the place against this stuff. But there was an Iranian climber who was called up to climb early. This was going around, I think, 2 weeks ago, something like that. And she wasn't ready. And so she didn't have her head covering on. And so she had to climb in a competition without it and was immediately met at the airport when she got home into her home country.
Gift basket?
No, I think it was this same morality greeting committee.
Gift casket.
Yes, exactly. I mean, beating women who don't have head coverings, at the very least, that's what happened to this woman who was in custody, and then complications arose from that. I don't know the whole story, but it's entirely likely that they just, went way, way, way too far beating her, and she was not able to take it.
Right.
Died because of the injuries.
Yep.
You should, I understand cultural differences. I get it. You want to enforce a rule that this is your culture, fine. I disagree with it. That's why I don't live there and I'm never going to go there. But beating people for that reason.
Wasn't she a child? Like she was a teenager, right?
22, 23
Oh,
years
she was
old.
very young?
She's
Okay,
very
I knew she was young.
But here's the thing. Iran has always had this kind of running through it, this desire for freedom. It has always been there, especially amongst the young people that want to protest. All the United States needs to do is to stand up and say, we support you. That's it.
Yeah.
And right now, I mean, I know politicians have said, we stand with people who are in Iran. No. Ayatollah Khomeini, you're off Twitter. You think you should be able to wipe out the entire country of Israel and Jews should be pushed into the sea. Your words, not mine. And you guys have no right to tell women that they can't do that. No right whatsoever. The United States stands behind you. Right there. There you go. Mass protests erupt in Iran. Problem solved.
Isn't it kind of interesting that we talked about Ukraine and Russia where it's just one corrupt crap hole versus another corrupt crap hole. And obviously my heart goes out to the people, the innocent people who are affected by this. But then we're dealing with people who are actually, creating an uprising against what is unilaterally agreed upon as a corrupt government, a government that is, government in the loosest sense of the word. Yeah. You're talking about a place where human rights don't exist, and we're not sending dozens or now maybe hundreds of billions of dollars, depending on how you do the creative accounting, to help any of these people. We're not really doing anything.
Yeah, and every time Israel launches airstrikes to make sure that they can't develop nuclear weapons, to set them back in their development for that, we kind of stand on the sidelines and maybe wag our finger a little bit or stay silent. And it's like, no. Be like, yeah, hell yeah. We sent them in there. We told them, like, look, we've got the intelligence, go. Right. Every single time. Why are we playing around with these guys?
Well, that's also, again, why this guy, Benil Dariush, I have all the respect in the world from him. So, but again, my question to you is, what have you, and this is just kind of a conversation, what have you done when you've had something to risk? Now, you can comment that below. When have you, we get these chats all the time on Mug Club, like, oh man, I might get in trouble in my job. I think it's time for everyone to start taking some risks, because that guy out there is facing life or death consequences. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you might get called to HR because you have a study Bible in your desk really doesn't mean all that much to the guy upstairs.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.